All right, female athletes, I'm doing an episode for you. We are talking about confusion. How should we fuel, train to perform our best in daily life as well as in events and races? We're getting conflicting information. Dr. Stacy Sims is trying to teach us that we don't need zone two as much as men, that we do need some carbohydrates before our workouts and not do fasted workout. We do need more sprint interval training and not do that gray zone, zone three. But you will hear about men need zone two, or people in general will hear 80-20, 80% zone two, 20% interval training, speed work. Now, how do we figure this out? What is best for you? So I've done way too many blogs on my website on endurance training, fueling and training, and then many on what Dr. Stacy Sims has said, because years ago I thought, oh, that's not right. We need to look at restricting our carbohydrates because we are more insulin insensitive. Well, I understand now a little more that because now I'm 52, that what I used to do to train is not the same. So I've been diving into all Stacy's podcasts last couple years, her new book, Next Level, and Roar second book came out, updated Roar book for perimenopause females. And all of her interviews, she's on way too many interviews. I don't know how people do podcasts every day out there, like Dr. Casey Means and Stacy Sims are all over the place. So you can look on Stacy's Sims, drstacysims.com blog. Mainstream menopause is misleading active women. This is everything you hear about somewhere, fasting, keto, low carb, zone two all the time. You'll hear all that. But a lot of the research you have to look at is based on men, and that's gradually, I think, changing a little bit. But we need to remember, if you are a male, you're going to fuel and train differently to perform your best and just aging process or for specific races or events. Women, I am a retired Ironman athlete. I used to do a lot of marathons, a lot of half marathons, a lot of 100-mile bike rides, and a lot of 50K trail runs. I can't do any of that. If you've read my book, Life is Not a Race, It is a Journey. My body doesn't like that. Maybe because all my hormones plummeted 10 years ago and it was related to this perimenopause that we now know about. Maybe it's because I was doing too much of everything, caused metabolic chaos. So let's backtrack. Number one, how do you know if you're metabolically healthy? I want you to know your insulin level. I want you to know your CRP, your vitamin D. The tests that the doctors are not doing that they should have easily included under insurance when we do annual checkup. And you should be doing blood work twice a year, at least 3 times a year. Quarterly, we should be checking. So I posted this in my LinkedIn in functional medicine space. Metabolically healthy. Let's go over what that means and how I think it should be defined a little differently. Blood sugar balance, healthy body composition, lipid profile, looking at cholesterol, HDL, triglycerides, which is outdated. We need to look at LDL particle size and triglycerides. Blood pressure, hormone balance, insulin, cortisol, thyroid hormones, sex hormones we need to be looking at, impact your metabolism, energy, and overall health. Inflammation markers should be looked at. C-reactive protein is what you want to look at on blood chemistry panel. Energy levels, optimal gut health, detox pathways. Those are what we should be considered metabolically healthy if we look at that. But you don't really know all that unless you do testing. Now, metabolic health, I looked up another definition. It's considered suboptimal metabolic health if you have excess abdominal fat, waist measurement, that's how they're tracking that. High triglycerides, 150 or higher. Your fasting blood glucose, if it's 100 or higher. High blood pressure over or above 130/85. and low HDL, 40 or less. And that's how we're defining metabolic health. This is what I don't think so. So what if we change that? I want you to look at my insulin levels. Am I in range 1 to 5? This says under 6, but most people say 1 to 5. You can get advanced lipid profile test, your LDL particle size, small dense LDL, ApoB, and LP little a. And again, you can find your own blood marker test. You can go to Alta Labs, partner Debbie Potts Coaching. And as I tell you all the time, there's a 20% pop-up all the time. You can get your own lab test. You can even scroll down on this homepage and look at these popular panels. Vitamin D, lipid panel, $14.95. A1C. But comprehensive panel, you can add on insulin is $400 plus another 20% off. So I know I'm talking about female aging athletes, but you need to know these markers. You need to know, am I healthy? All right, because we want to know as your hormones get lower, are we needing to adjust? Just don't pop up. We need to adjust our nutrition. We know, another article I've been putting together, if I am in a catabolic state, is my metabolism slower? So if I can do a Pinoe metabolism test, sample RMR, I'm going to look, if I can pull this up, at the resting metabolism and see where am I? Resting metabolic rate, my fat burning efficiency, and my heart rate variability. Am I chronically stressed out? So we're going to get all these markers and figure out, am I burning fat at rest? And then ideally, you're going to do, what did I say, sample AMR. And that is a test where you're looking at where am I burning fat? And we'll get to what this means. So you'll get a whole report, 25 pages, looking at your aerobic health, cardiovascular fitness, but I want to know fat burning efficiency. So if Stacy Sims, my point is coming around here. If Stacy Sims is talking about fueling menopause advice, we'll go into not fasting, not doing so much zone 2. Carbohydrates are not so bad. And do they really lower my thyroid levels? Am I having bone mineral density loss? Am I having low energy availability? You don't know unless we test. How many calories do you need to know that you burn at rest without doing anything? How many calories am I burning throughout the day? Because I'm getting my 10,000 steps in a day. I'm moving throughout the day. I'm not sedentary, and daily active calories. So this is, if I want to gain weight, lose weight, maintain weight, it will give me an idea. Those just not 100% accurate, but just give a good idea where I am for calories a day, and then we figure out your macros. Now, we know I like to go by Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So if your ideal body weight's 152 pounds, your protein intake for days, workout days and non-workout days should be the same. This goes lower, and I don't like that because I think your protein stays the same. Your calories will be lower on non-workout days, but non-negotiables, don't adjust that protein because you're recovering on your non-workout days, right? And you're probably active every day because you're my overachievers that are listening to this. You're listening to this. I already know you're a health optimizer and you are concerned about your future self. Now, your fat and carbs are going to be different on your workout days and your non-workout days. So my carbohydrate intake will vary based on my intensity. So if I go to my fitness test and I look at my report and I know, hey, I am burning good amount of fat in my zones. Peak fat burning, zone 1 is your recovery zone, and zone 2. This is enhancing fat burning efficiency. Bottom of zone 2 is my peak fat burning zone. Top of zone 2 is my LT1, or more that carbohydrate usage comes up. The 5 zones we're looking at are not based on a percentage. It's not math. It's based on science. What fuel source you're using, looking at your breathing frequency, correlating that to shifting in fuel sources. And we're looking at fat to the amount of carbohydrates. So fatty acid oxidation phosphorylation, and then shifting to more carbohydrate glycolysis, and then high sprint, you're working more creatine phosphate. So I've done lots of videos on that. So not purpose of today's call. So you can go to the YouTube channel, look up the past videos on that. So if we know what my metabolism is based on my RMR, I know what my zones are. Perhaps my zone 2 is really poor. Maybe I do need to spend a little more time there. Do I need to know my VO2 max to get my sprint interval zone 5 number, 192? No, I just need to work hard as I can to sprint 20 seconds and then recover twice as long. I've done many videos on that. So that is why we need to listen to this advice. Yes, it might be misleading what men need to women, but we need to individualize it. This is still saying one size fits all for female athletes, not or active females, not athletes. If you're exercising, you're active, let's call it that. So look in and take in consideration. I don't disagree with Stacy, but I'm just saying we still need to personalize it. This is still just generalization of a female that's active that you may be doing too low of carbohydrate and doing too low of calories. So if you're talking about LEA, low energy availability, is it because I'm too low carb? I think low carb, we're getting 100, 130 grams of carbohydrate a day. People doing nutritional ketosis are metabolically unhealthy or strict carnivore, maybe doing 50 grams or strict carnivore 0 grams carbs, and your body will make glucose from gluconeogenesis. Now, I'm not a big fan of that because as we age, I'm already doing an uphill battle trying not to lose my current muscle. So I don't want to break it down to create glucose. I need that precious muscle. That's not what I'm a big fan of. The carnivore diet's great for elimination diet if you have a lot of gut issues. If you listen to even what's the podcast that just came out today of the the lion diet, even though everyone changes their mind, it's an elimination diet, carnivore. Then if you want to add some berries, or if you want to have some potatoes, sweet potatoes, if you are active, you can tolerate those. I like to look at my genetics too. So we're not just looking at, hey, this is what Stacy Sims tells me, this is what Huberman tells me, and Peter Attia. We need to take all this information, organize it for you. And that's what I'm doing as my job. So even this clarity report from Precision Medicine has suggestions, just 12-hour fasting improves metabolic flexibility. But then it also says, don't fast if you're an athlete. So what should we do? I'm just making you more confused. So let's go through. I took this article from Stacy and then restricting carbs hurt our performance and put it into a summary. I just think low energy availability is eating too little calories. That's not, to me, eating too low of carbohydrates. I disagree. I think women are not eating enough protein. If you eat enough protein, you're probably fat phobic if you're not experimenting in nutritional ketosis, as a lot of you have, being a more low carb person. But I'm not saying zero carbs. I'm saying real good nature's carbs, not eating bread, because maybe you can do wheat. But if I have bread, I'm going to overeat and have. So I avoid bread because I can't do gluten, wheat. If you test Wheat Zoomer, you'll know if you have problems with wheat. And two, I know certain carbs is that will set me off to overeat and not be full. So you have to know your body. We can't just use this as every female should do it this way. Low energy availability is a fact, because if you go back to your resting metabolism rate, we can say, hey, I know you need, say, 2257 calories a day. When you exercise, this is probably a male sample, 3,000 calories a day. You're active. So when we're working on, are you getting low energy availability? I see many females, but does that mean they're eating too little carbohydrates? No. I start with getting enough protein in, and then I look at their healthy fats because they're essential fatty acids that we need. And carbohydrates are only really needed, fermented carbohydrates, for your microbiome. I'm not really 100% believer in that we need so much grams of fiber. I know we need prebiotic fiber to feed the microbiome, and we need probiotics that are going to give us more gut bacteria diversity. And feeding certain bacteria will help proliferate other good bacteria if you listen to Dr. William Davis. And that's what my Supergut yogurt using L-reuteri helps grow the good bacteria, and they'll make other good bacteria. So having fermented foods, which can be from fermented beef sticks, is Paleo Valley. Use our code to save, Coach Debbie Potts. Then there are other options as other fermented foods you can look at. So I don't know, this eating enough carbohydrates, I think we do need to look at more specifically, am I eating enough carbohydrates for that workout intensity that I have ahead of me? Because she's talking more so, Stacy says more that we need some glucose in our bloodstream pre-workout. So we use the glucose in our bloodstream. Then she said we tap into our glucose in our liver glycogen and a little bit of muscle before we go into fatty acid metabolism. But do I need 2 pieces of bread before that? No, maybe I just have some Laird's coffee creamer with coconut sugar sweetener in my coffee. Or I've heard her in her program that I did, her Menopause 2.0 program, that you could have some maple syrup. I don't want to crave sugar. So if you are a carb addict and will set you off for binging, having sugar and craving food all day, that's a whole other conversation. That picking what carbohydrates you can tolerate that are serving the one purpose of improving your performance to nail your sprint interval training or intervals, that's what we want to talk about. So having good quality options for you. For me, it's having something in my coffee because I'm working out at 5 a.m, or timing my food at 9 a.m. if I'm going to go for a hard workout at 12 o'clock. So I need to plan my nutrition so I can have proper digestion. I do have carbohydrates. My husband loves carbohydrates and he does our cooking. So yesterday he got home from being gone for 3 days. He made what's called that rice. I don't know what it's called, the rice with heavy cream and some meat in it. And it was really kind of yummy, but I said, I can't have this because I'll eat the whole thing. So that's why I'm more of a carb addict. Probably I decided that certain foods I'll want more of and they don't fill me up. I can't overeat 2 burger patties or a steak. I'll eat till fullness. So that's kind of why I think we need to specifically personalize our fueling and training program for female athletes. That saying that we need carbohydrates, let's break that down and go, okay, maybe I just need 10 to 20 grams of calories in a pre-workout that will help provide me the nutrition and not cause other food addiction problems or blood sugar dysregulation or gut dysfunction or inflammation by having a piece of bread that will have gluten in it, unless she's in New Zealand, so maybe she can get good quality fermented sourdough bread that tastes good and easy to digest. But I don't know, I'm going off. So low carbohydrate availability is in this article. And I think a lot of her clients, even though she trains love endurance athletes, she's CrossFit's hard day. So she says in this article, when women doing moderate training or short intense days is CrossFit demand still 3.5 to 5 grams of carbs per kilogram of body weight per day. Research shows that women by and large are not meeting those marks. Young and elite female athletes, nearly half young female athletes and third of the elite family athletes had carb intakes of 4 grams or below their body weight. That's 45 to 98% of female athletes may not be meeting their carbohydrate needs. She's written about women sensitive to low nutrition, especially carbohydrates. We fall short in marked reduction of the hormone expression of kisspeptin, the neuropeptide that's responsible for sex hormone and endocrine and reproductive function. So it's a neuropeptide, which plays a role in maintaining healthy glucose levels, appetite regulation, and body composition. So you can check out our article on kisspeptin because that can increase our appetite, decrease our energy, reduce glucose stimulated insulin secretion. So read through these articles. I think it's important to talk about what happened to us fasting, doing OMAD, doing 16-8, doing 22 or 22, 2 days to 3 days of fasting. We need to know that's for metabolically unhealthy people. And we went over that in the first article. Are you metabolically healthy or not? And if you are, then we look at your nutrition. Are you aging and your metabolism slowing down based on the test if you test? What slows your metabolism down? Decline in estrogen, testosterone, growth hormone, IGF-1. Most people, unlike a lot of us, have reduced physical activity. We have loss of muscle mass. So we have a slower metabolism because of that. So we can reverse that, obviously, with strength training. Sarcopenia begins early in our 30s, but noticeable after 50. We have insulin resistance and fat distribution, leading to more fat storage around the abdominal, more cortisol, more fat around the abdominal, slowing your metabolism down, reducing your body's ability to use nutrients necessary for muscle maintenance and repair. And then big area I'm focusing on, decreased protein synthesis. So aging, we're less efficient at synthesizing muscle protein, leading to muscle degradation, inefficiency, compounded by anabolic resistance, where we become less responsive to the stimuli of exercise and protein intake that would normally trigger muscle building. So solutions, as Stacy Sims talks about, doing strength training, resistance training, getting your protein with the right essential amino acids, which is why I say plant-based does not really work. I did the calculation. You're going to get way too many calories in to get those goals. So vegetarian or plant or switch to more animal-based if you can. I did myself. I don't like eating animals, and I don't like to see it raw, but just put on my plate. Don't tell me what I'm eating and I'll eat it if I know it's going to help my muscles. And it has the right leucine. Nutrient timing, really important. As Stacy Sims talks about having a little carbohydrates pre-workout, but she also talks about having a little protein pre-workout. So cardio, 30 grams of carbs before a session helps maintain energy levels. I don't know, does it? If you are burning good amount of fat and you're training in your zone 2, having a little carbs to help us start the workout, but not spike our glucose to cause insulin to be released, just a little bit won't hurt. But getting into your zone 2 where you're working on fat metabolism might be something to experiment with. Do you feel, if we do your lab test, I would want you to eat what you want to maybe eat, maybe it's your coffee drink, have that, and then let's test and see if that disrupts your fat metabolism. I doubt it. Maybe your performance is better. So suggesting 30 grams of carbs before a longer workout is going to vary. 30 grams max, but I test it out. And again, it depends what time of day you're working out. Maybe it's your evening meal. If you're doing a morning workout, you want to make sure you have a little bit more starchy vegetables, carbs from your potatoes, sweet potato in there, or some cooked and cooled rice. All right, so you can dive into this. How do we prove how you age? Women, you might want some estrogen. You might want some progesterone. You might want it to do DHEA or take some maca, different things you can do to help your hormones. Now, we know Stacy Sims talks about sprint interval training, not as much HIIT training. So HIIT training is more that zone 4. Stacy Sims says for females to have more sprint interval training. Again, I've talked about this many episodes, but when you're doing this zone 5 to zone 1 interval training, people are doing it wrong. So if you really want the benefits from interval training, let's talk about how to do it right. And then we want to work on quality stress management. We want to manage our cortisol. It's not too high, not too low. Maybe you're taking adaptogens. Maybe you're having ashwagandha, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. You're prioritizing your sleep routine. Maybe you join my go to bed at 8 o'clock club. I'm in bed at 8 p.m. because I'm waking up to be at the gym at 5 a.m. I focus on quality sleep. After you had adrenal exhaustion, when sleep is crap and you're wide awake all night long, once you've gotten better that you're going to not revert back to those wide awake evenings. So sleep hygiene is huge for me. Supplementation, this says branched chain amino acids, but that is wrong. It should say essential amino acids. Creatine, we know 5 grams, so you can get it from Keon and use my code for your discount. Essential amino acids you get from Keon or from Body Health Makes Perfect Aminos. Omega-3 fatty acids, we need more, 3 to 5 grams of essential fatty acids from smashed fish or salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. All the things I don't like, but salmon. So I take supplementation. I get Kion essential amino acids, and I'll have 2 or 3 caps in the morning and at night. So I keep that in my bathroom supplement drawer. Vitamin D, I'm still low in. If you look at my genetics and my lab tests, it's way down far away, but my vitamin D levels, my iron levels, my folate were low, but my vitamin D genetic SNPs, I need to supplement. So you can see all that in your clarity report. Vitamin D, calcium, and then moving more throughout the day. I stand on my rebounder. I'm sitting on my Bosu right now. I'm always kind of moving and shifting positions. So that will help you burn more calories. So this article is about how you can age. But just to finish up in here on anabolic resistance, this is tying back to what Stacy Sims is talking about, Gabrielle Lyon. We need, as female athletes, as we age, to avoid the slowing of metabolism. So focus on strength training, high protein, animal-based if you can, nutrition, hormone support, active lifestyle habits will help combat the effects of metabolism muscle loss. Because anabolic resistance is the body's diminished ability to build and to maintain muscle mass in response to exercise and dietary protein. So what you did 10 years ago is not as effective as today. As we age, the efficiency of the MPS decreases, leading to an imbalance between muscle breakdown, catabolism, and muscle building, anabolism. So how you fuel and how you train to improve your performance and body composition right here as we age is a good example of why we can't expect the same results with the program we have been doing. Hormone changes, growth hormone, testosterone, estrogen, we need to test them and know what is optimal and know when to supplement and work with someone that can help, as Dr. Karen Martell, which she's not a doctor, but hormone specialist. Chronic grade, low grade inflammation can interfere with muscle repair and growth. So if you are trying to do all the right things that I'm saying, Steve Sim's saying, but you have hidden inflammation, look at your blood chemistry markers. It's probably a parasite. It's probably bacteria overgrowth. So we want to run Genova Diagnostics or GI map to look under the hood. So to summarize, muscle protein synthesis. We want to build new protein. So we need resistance training stacked with protein. So trying to lose weight by doing cardio, even if it's zone 2 true fat burning, is not the solution. To prevent sarcopenia, because remember how your metabolism slows down, it's because of loss of muscle. So remember, if you want to speed up your metabolism, what is causing it to slow down? We need to switch our focus from doing chronic cardio to more time lifting heavy weights 2 to 3 times a week, but try to get 4 times a week if you can. I go every morning, Monday through Friday, sometimes 4 days a week. If we were going for something at the beach and going Torrey Pines. We want to stimulate MPS, but you have to have the protein with that to stimulate MPS. So we need to figure that out. So that's a long rabbit hole on anabolic resistance and looking at all that, and get all my books you can find on my website. All right, Stacy Sims. I went into her interviews and her show notes, and I got the Chat GPT to summarize what did she say, because it's easier for me to read bullet list. So she, on an interview of Mind Body Green, talked about perimenopause, postmenopause, the benefits of sprint interval training, women versus men. Women benefit from zone 2 for mitochondrial health, oxidative capacity, increased MCT, but men benefit more than we do because we already have, the point is, I don't think that came out right, women have fewer fast twitch muscle fibers than men and require more high intensity work like HIIT training and sprint interval training to stimulate lactate production and clearance. Women should focus less on long, slow distance zone 2, unless your tests with me showed otherwise. as it can lead to stagnant progress, and men usually can benefit from more zone 2 to increase mitochondria respiratory capacity and slow twitch fiber health. High intensity training in women help upregulate MCT1, which is essential for lactate production, clearance, and optimal performance. If you listen to Ben Bickman, ask me for the link, did an amazing webinar. They put on a podcast on lactate and the truth about it. Lactate is a fuel source that your body will recycle and reuse into a fuel, also for your brain. So it's pretty cool. And you can tell if people are a sign of type 2 diabetes if they have higher lactate levels in at rest. So fascinating information on lactate. So ask me for that if you can't find it. Dr. Ben Bickman. Now, perimenopause, we have the changes in estrogen and progesterone. So we're going to have changes. So that's the article. Here's the video link. Zone 2 training summarized here. And then the recap kind of went through that we're told 80% zone 2 enhance mitochondria function to enhance fat metabolism, metabolic flexibility, improving lactate clearance. But zone 2 might not be the way for women to optimize mitochondria function or lactate clearance. She says, in fact, research suggests a different approach to training intensity is more effective than women. And it goes into the science, and you can read about MCT1 and MCT4. Those are not fats. They're not medium chain triglycerides. You might think, oh, MCT oil. No, it's not. Research shows that exercise intensity impacts the expression of the MCT1, MCT4, but the response is different between men and women. Men, MCT1 increases regardless of exercise intensity, and the MCT4 increases with repeated sprint interval training. In women, low intensity training shows minimal increase in either transporter, but sprint interval training, that's the 10 to 30 to 40 seconds max, sprint intervals, zone 5, can increase your MCT1 expression more effectively than lower intensity. So men, they can have that improvement in shuttling lactate and pyruvate across cell membranes. During intense exercise, skeletal muscles produce lactate, which isn't a waste. As I said, Dr. Ben Bickman explained it the best ever. It's a fuel source that can be used by muscles and heart mitochondria. MCT1 pulls lactate into the cells. MCT4 moves it out of the cells. So women, if we do sprint interval training correctly, which is zone 5 and zone 1, twice as long in zone 1 than you're in zone 5, so you can go hard again, that will help us improve our lactate shuttling. So our lactate transporters. The difference is likely due to lower glycolytic capacity in women compared to men, influence of estrogen on MCT1 expression. So fascinating. So go and you can geek out on this Dr. Stacy Sims on aging athlete, trying to summarize her articles and get rid of that endurance athletes. What she does say, if you are training for long distance events, I'm not. I just do them for fun. So I do a fun zone 2 long bike ride in the summer. We were going, 4 hours. I'm not doing my 7 hours as I used to for Ironman training, but I'm doing 4 to 5 hours in the summertime, and I'll stick to my longer rides in the off season. Kind of off season in San Diego is 3 hours. So spending too much time in zone 2 won't improve your mitochondria function and oxidative capacity in the women that it does for men. She says research has shown that while men need long, slow, or long sustained distance zone 2 work to improve mitochondria function, women naturally have better mitochondria density and respiration from birth. So by integrating high intensity work, the sprint interval training, into our long training sessions, we can enhance mitochondrial capacity and aerobic capacity. So if you're not an endurance athlete, don't be misled around the hype of zone 2 training. It's just trending. Everyone's talking that 80-20, but it's not the best approach for women, especially as we age. So this is why we need to look at women. Our training program should be different than men. So you can go listen to Stacy Sims was on Dr. Gabrielle Lyons page and our podcast, and Huberman. She did a podcast there. So again, you just listen and feel what makes sense to you. What have you been doing? What have you not been doing? What are you doing? What you're being told to do and it's not working. Well, stop, take a step back and look at, is it working for you? And so I put all this info in here. You can look at why women are sensitive to low carb intake, the hormone the neuropeptide, kisspeptin. She talks about that, and low carb availability, optimal energy availability. And she says eat 25% of your carbs, 25% of your daily carb needs, along with 35, 40 grams of protein. Athletes, double training sessions, you need a carb-rich snack about 30 grams before the second session. From breakfast to dinner, ensure that you're fueling your body with mix of carbs and protein to recovering health. Stop eating 2 hours before bed. I would say 3 hours before bed, stop eating to support optimal digestion and recovery. By fueling throughout the day and tailoring carbs to your activity level, you can avoid both LEA and LCA to achieve better performance adaptations over health. Now, you can listen to my Dr. Mickey. She doesn't agree with everything Stacy Sims says and is the same education, similar education than Stacy Sims. So you should listen to Dr. Mickey. I think all this information is valuable, but I do think getting enough calories in, there is an essential item here missing. There's never any talk on essential fatty acids. We need healthy fats, healthy essential fatty acids, and essential amino acids. And carbohydrates are not essential. They are needed to fuel our workouts. So you don't need to have excessive carbs. It's just a little bit, a small dose. She's not saying you need a lot. 20, 30 grams is like half a potato. So you can reveal this. So we've got myths I put in here. She talks about staying in zone 2, carbs bad for menopausal women, our supplements a scam. So take away from there. So you can read my summary all into one blog. I'll put that in the show notes. So let me know if you have questions. Stacy Sims articles. I'll put all these links in the show notes below. Kisspeptin, and then this article I was just showing you, I was trying to summarize what she's talking about, zone 2, carbs for menopausal women. And I think it's, makes sense, but I also want you to look, what are your genetics? What are your blood chemistry markers? Like if we scroll down to where are we? Coming down to the very end, chronic disease. Look at your markers for cardiovascular disease. How are your LP little a markers, your APOB, your CRP levels? Am I at risk for insulin resistance? My homocysteine, if that was high over 8, that means I need more methylated B vitamins. Vitamin D is 48. I'm out in the sun, swimming too much in the sun, and I need to supplement more. So look at your T4, your T3. We need to know all this information to help figure that out. What is your insulin? So that's what I was looking at. Genetics. I've got FTO obesity genes. I have the PAR, PPAR gamma 1 and 2. I've got all 4 of those FTO genes. So look at what your ferritin, I'm low iron. We need to look at this. Having low carb availability might not be your issue. It might be lack of nutrient dense real food and timing of your nutrition with your exercise. So that was just my pet peeve I needed to explain. Inflammation, we want to look at this. Do you have a leaky gut? Are you overtraining? Are you having too much inflammatory foods in your meal? Poor sleep, insulin resistance, high cholesterol is more looking at, I think, LP little a, your APOB, triglycerides. So we want to look at inflammation and put that with your genetics and your other labs. All right, so if you want to order this Clarity report, I have to order it for you. And you can look at your genetic SNPs and have this nice little information that we go through. It's $297, so you just have to ask me to get that. So that's all, folks. If you want lab testing, you can chat with me, but Debbie Potts Coaching Ultra Labs. And then if you want to get Pinoy lab testing, you can come to Kona in October or come to Del Mar, California, North San Diego, and we can figure out how much time should you spend doing interval training? What does that mean? What is your base? Do we need to spend more time in zone 2? Maybe your zone 2 is horrible because you've been doing too much zone 3. So yes and no, we need less zone 2 than men, but let's look at how is your metabolism? How's your metabolism, fat fuel, carb fuel when you're exercising? Do you need more sprint interval training? Are you ready for that? Do you need more of a foundation? So lots to look at to personalize all this information. Eat real food, nutrient dense foods. Doing the body composition changes workout would be more strength training. And it does make sense that women in the zone 2, we need the zone 5 lactate shuttling benefits. Slow twitch muscle fibers, we're already good at. We need fast twitch muscle fibers. So read over these articles. Let me know what your opinions are and what works best for you. And if you have any questions about my coaching, reach out. Thanks for listening.